Hey, it's Kevin DeWitt here. Welcome to the next video in the Setting Up a Home Music Studio course. So in this video, we're going to talk about the room layout and design. Hopefully in the previous step, you've gone and picked your room, or at least narrowed it down to a couple of options. If you aren't already locked into a specific spot or room. And now we're going to talk about how we're going to actually lay it out. So the first major component in your home music studio, which is something that pretty much everybody's going to need no matter what your room setup is your desk and where you're going to lay this out. Now again, you may be in a room that really limits what you can and can't do. It may be that you have no room to move at all. You're using your bedroom and it's just, here's a spot in the bedroom that you can place something. And if that's your case, that's fine. It's going to make you going through these worksheets very simple, very quick, because the decisions are already locked in and made for you. But if you are somebody else that has basically a whole room ready to go, you know, it's a spare room, you can do whatever you want with it, nobody's using it in the house and it's free for you to take and use, then you've got some options and we're going to talk about those options now. So the desk location, this is obviously one of the most critical things, and it's not so critical for the bare essentials side of things, because with the bare essentials we're talking mainly about going to be using headphones and not so much putting root treatment or studio monitors or anything like that. That's going to come in the second part of this. So it's not essential, but because I always like to do this thinking for the future, because trust me, I did it in my room, I didn't think of the future, and I have moved my furniture so many times. Every time I come up with a new brand, another idea, another improvement, all the furniture had to move, and it really got annoying. And if I had planned it out from the start, as I'm trying to get you to do, then I would have saved myself a lot of time and probably a lot of money as well. So keeping in mind the future factor of having studio monitors and things like that, what we want to do is, if we have a choice of where we put our desk in our room, we want to put it on the smaller side of the room. So if we've got a room that's rectangular, which is an ideal situation if we can, we want to put it along the small side. So we're going to be shooting our music down the length of the room, so the long way. And the reason for this is it just gets better acoustics, because the sound can travel away from you, bouncing off the walls, and not bounce straight back at you instantly and throw everything out of whack. With a room, you go the other way. If you put your desk on the long wall and have short ones going backwards, you can get some weird effects with your audio, and it's just not as efficient. So if you can put it on the short wall, it's going to give you a better frequency response and a better sound projection in your room. Now, the other thing you want to do is put the desk central between the walls, okay? Because when we're working in mixing especially, we've got, you know, we're trying to get our sound really good, okay? And stereo image is one of those vital things. Now, if you put your desk to one side of the room, closer to one wall, the sound bounces off the walls. And what you're going to get is an uneven stereo field in your ears, because you're going to have audio bouncing off the closest wall that you are back to your ears before it bounces off the other wall. So if you can get your desk into the center between the two side walls, that is the ideal situation. Also factor in the furniture there. If you've got furniture like cupboards and stuff on one side, not the other, if they're a reflection point, if the audio can bounce off them, that's going to change your width of your room. So don't assume it's the walls. It's going to be between what's on each side of your desk. Now, another key point is that if you can get the desk away from the walls, especially corners, if you can avoid putting your desk in corners, that's a whole heap better, because again, when we get to studio monitors, bass frequencies like to build up in corners. So if you put your desk in the corners, you're going to get a big buildup of bass, and it's going to skew your mixing results when you get to that point. And you're probably going to remove too much bass and your mixes are going to sound thin and uneven. Now also, if you put your desk right up against the wall, again, bass builds up in walls. The way we have our walls designed, the way they're built, you know, a lot of them are plaster with hollow bits in the middle, and they basically attract bass frequencies and make them louder. Now, another reason for pulling them away from the wall, and there's a not a rule, but there is a guide that says you should put your desk 30% down the room. So if you measured the length of your room, your desk should be 30% down the room, away from the wall. And the reason for that is because the way audio frequencies sort of wave through the room as they go, they sort of bounce back and then collide across each other. And sort of the 30% mark is a point where less frequencies cancel each other out. Again, there's a proper scientific way to actually measure that, but it is so complicated, there's no way we're even going into this. But if you can put some gap between your desk and the wall, then that is ideal. If you can get it 30% away, that's perfect, but just a little bit can be nice. But again, if you're in a bedroom and you're very cramped for space, you may have to put that desk against the wall, and that's fine, just go with it. What we'll do is deal with it later down the track. We just need to understand the problems you're going to have in your room the way you've got it set up. Now, as I stated, a lot of these things that I'm talking about with room location is based on the future. Now, if you know for a fact that you are never going to go to studio monitors, you are never going to go to that next level, and you are only ever going to use headphones, then where you place your desk is totally irrelevant. It is basically what is comfortable for you, what looks good in your room, in your house, what do you like, where have you got, and are you comfortable? That's really it. So obviously you can skip all of this section when you're talking about that, because you already know you're not going to need these details. But if you're thinking about the future, thinking about studio monitors, then try and factor all of these in and go through this process. So another thing to factor in when you're looking at your room location and where you're going to put your desk and put all your stuff is the instruments. Where is your instruments going to be located? What instrument are you recording? Okay, what is going to be convenient for you, comfortable wise, to play your instrument and record, and have access to your computer to stop and start the recordings, play with it, do this. If you're doing a guitar and you have the ability to sit at your desk, is the desk in a location where your guitar is that it's going to work? Or do you need to work remotely and you need to set up some sort of remote recording ability? Obviously, if you're recording something like drums, then you're probably not going to be able to get to your desk very easily because you're going to be sitting at those drums. Okay, so think about your instrumentation and where they're going to sit and where you're going to want to play them to where your desk is, so that you've got access to your desk, if you can, to be able to do controls on the computer. Now, the other thing you need to factor in your room, so again, if this is a bare bones room and you're going to be building this, what else are you going to be putting in this room? What other furniture are you going to put in? Okay, you're going to put some cupboards in, you're going to put some bookshelves, you're going to put a couch. You need to think about those locations, and also where are they going to go compared to your desk. If you decide to put a bookshelf next to your desk and it goes above the speaker height, then it's going to throw your stereo field off. So you need to either not put that bookshelf or cupboard there, or you need to allow for that in your stereo field and move your desk appropriately. So think about all of the things that are going to go in your room and work out how you're going to place them all around the room. So with all of these factors in play though, one of the most crucial factors that you need to keep in mind and you need to think about is comfort. Okay, you want to be comfortable. If you're going to be sitting in here for a while and you're going to be recording and you're going to be trying to have fun and enjoy the whole process, the last thing you want to do is be uncomfortable. You don't want to be sitting there on a really uncomfortable chair and can't move and it's all cramped. I can't play my guitar or my keyboards properly and I'm so uncomfortable, my back hurts. Then you're just going to hate the whole process. So If you need to compromise some of the ideas that I'm stating and some of the future things that I'm talking about to make sure you're comfortable, then I would always go for comfort over anything else. Now, when I say comfort, I don't mean you're lounging in a lounge chair or out in your deck chair recording. I'm talking about just being comfortable enough that you could sit at your desk or wherever you need to sit in your room recording for a good period of time. And remember, plan for the future. I like to plan for the future, so I encourage you to plan for the future as well, to avoid rework, avoid renovating your room every time you decide to get to the next level. So think about the future. Think about, are you going to have studio monitors sometime in the future? Are you going to have extra instruments going into the future? And what are you going to do in this room? You know, as I said, are you going to get other artists in to record in your room? Is it just you? Are you going to want to possibly start a business? Think about that and utilize these decisions now to avoid the rework later on. So don't forget, if you have any questions, please ask them in the comments. Again, I'm here to help. I'm here to guide you through this whole process. If you have any questions about your room layout, you can't decide where you should put something or anything else in comparison to something else, feel free to ask. I'm happy to help as much as I possibly can. So now you've watched all the video, now it's time for you to go to the PDF, get the worksheet out, okay, and start drawing up your room, start filling it out, work out how you're going to lay that room out, assuming you've already picked your room in the previous video, and now you are laying it out and designing it. So start drawing it up, start mapping out what you want to do a couple of copies if you need to play around with the layout and try a few different looks and stuff like that on paper. The more you can do on paper now, the easier it's going to be when you actually move things in place. Now, it may not translate perfectly from paper to real life, but having some sort of plan at least will get you moving in the right direction. So go and get the worksheet, go and plan it out. Again, ask me any questions in the comments, here to help, and get that completed, and then you're on to the next step in the course.